Angler's Paradise really is that. A paradise for all those who like to go fishing. It's down in Devon, it's run by Zig Gregorick, and it's been there for years. He's invested a huge amount into it, and you can see it gives you places to fish from. And how about that? Look at it. Who would not want that instead of sitting under an umbrella? It's stocked with a multitude of different species, loads and loads of different lakes there. You can catch anything from tiny little small fish to big fish. And what beautiful weather. Yeah, it's totally awesome with the cameras. It's all set to change. And it was absolutely hammering it down. I'm just tucked under a tiny little thing called a beach buddy, which I use shore fishing. Oh yes, it's okay for the other lads. They're tucked up nicely in their bivvy. Hang on though, it was my buzzer that goes off.
We've got a catfish here so big I think I can swing it in. It's lovely weather, it's the I'll just stand in this puddle. That is the mighty Danubian Wells, is it not? Do you know what? It just goes to show it's not over till it's over. At just the last minute, I thought, you know, it's worth coming down and give it a go on the Octopussy Lake and a little baby catfish like that. Brilliant. And now I'm really wet.
You need to look out. Every little narrow channel, every lily pad, every overhang. Just keep moving along using polarising glasses and a peak cap, trying to spot the carp. The object of the exercise is to get out there and look for the fish. You can move around as much as you want as long as you do it quietly. Now listen, sometimes it might pay you just to stand still in one spot, use a tree as a screen and don't actually move, and just see what comes out from underneath the weeds, the rushes, lilies, anything like that. Just see what's moving around. I didn't take long to find Mike. Fish around those monks is the deepest place and it's silty. Of course, here at Totally Awesome we love floater fishing with dog biscuits, and it soon results in action.
I'm finally into a fish. The rain's held off enough for us to get a little gap, and we're using floating dog biscuits. Just over there, there's a few fish rising. You can see them rising just there. So the tip's paid off. We're really patient. We've had pesky ducks, but hopefully, if I can land this, it'll be my first carp of the day. As you can see, not much gear: rod, net, bait, and unhooking mat. That is all you need, and a camera.
We often get asked why we use the Avon rod so much. That's why we use the Avon rod so much. Look at the bend in it, unbelievable. And do you know what? I've caught carp to well over 20 pounds on it. We ain't that small. Like the back line.
Fine little common on the floating dog biscuit. You can't really go wrong. Not ideal floater conditions, but we persevered. That's my first fish of the day. Happy with that. Size doesn't matter. Just enjoy the sport. Away it goes.
The beauty of using floater fishing techniques is that you actually don't even cast until you see some form of movement on the surface, so you can relax, sit back and wait for the fish to show themselves.
Well, I've seen a few fish moving right near the monk. I've chucked out some freebie floaters. Got my dog biscuit on here. I think this is a size 10 hook. Just sort of nipped in the edge really of the dog biscuit, and hopefully I can see them moving. Hopefully I can get a fish. Well, that is a bit of colour in what is a miserable looking day.
Goldenrod looks like,
It is, I think, yeah, it's quite a nice one as well. Nice looking fish.
As you say, brightened up the day.
Brightened up the day. Let's get some more baits out there.
Go.
Oh, that was right.
That's not a bad fish, is it? That's
Right
not a
by
bad
the
one. Absolutely off the brickwork.
It was. It's quite good using the shadow of the brickwork actually, so I can see the dog biscuit. And quite a good take.
And don't move all the time just because you've had one fish there. If you can get them competing between themselves, the chances are, within 5 or 10 minutes after hooking and landing a fish, you might think the swim's messed up, but no, others will come in there to replace them. They're all hungry, they're all looking for food. I always soak my biscuits, my dog biscuits. I don't use them hard at all. I know some guys do. I like to soak them, give them a good hour or so, strain them off. They're nice and soft and spongy, and you can roll the hook right through the middle of them, turn the bend, pop the point back in, and there you go. It's ready to go. The hook's completely hidden. Well guys, here's a tip. I've had to take the rod out of Michael's hand. That's a tip in itself. Got a handful of biscuits, okay, so you're throwing biscuits out, and on these commercial waters, any sort of commercial water, they are well aware of food going in the water. So sometimes you can attract their attention by throwing it high in the air and let it plop down with a really loud noise. I can hear that from here. What does that say to the fish? Dinner bell's ringing, guys. Another tip, we're full of totally awesome tips tonight because we're starting to catch some fish. The rain stopped, the sun's coming out. It's all going to turn out well, I hope. Some of these biscuits on the last of the breeze before it's dying off have drifted in close underneath here. All this, you know, like this spiky grass and rushes. Don't neglect looking under those because I hooked that fish absolutely right in amongst it, just lowering the biscuit down. It's another thing, carp on the move. You need to be looking and hunting and moving. And to be honest, that's what you're doing. If you're out in a bivvy, you're sitting there, you chuck your lines out, well really you're just waiting, they hook yourselves. It's trapping, isn't it, when you think about it? Oh dear, he's off to the monk. Oh no, here they come again, round the circuit of the island. Every time they come, the gang. Why don't you off? Bloody ducks. And swans. I don't like swans, by the way, while we're on that sub. Don't like swans. I like
Anything else you'd like to go?
predators, I like red kites. I like buzzards. In fact, I like anything that gets rid of the nuts. They're just such a pain when you're floater fishing. Come on, fish. I've seen others moving as well now. That technique certainly works. I'm on £10. I'm using Andy, I think it's called Premium Clear, which I use sea fishing. It's almost indestructible stuff. It's American. I'm not selling it, you know us. I'm just telling you what we're using. Straight through to a hook, size 10 hook, partridge. It's called a specialist hook. It's special because it catches the fish for you. And the old top 4000 reel, and about a 30-year-old Avon rod. It's caught tons and tons of fish. And hopefully, eventually, this guy's going so well, I don't know what to say, but hopefully it will catch this one as well. Well, there we go, guys. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Good bit of fun on, you know, light reel, light rod, and that technique of roving, moving around for the carp looks like it's starting to pay off. Something else I think of, you know, when you get older, you just do things out of habit. I thought I'd tell the people this because it just occurred to me. Mike says, why are you throwing them, you know, in that direction and that way? I said, oh, it's to keep them tighter. And here's a tip, if you get a handful, so let's say 6 or 8 of floating biscuits, and you throw them and you spray them around too far, a carp comes up over here, you don't know where that carp's going to come up again, so you can't put your biscuit in there. Because if you throw them in a tight little compact unit, I don't know, foot across, something like that, 2 feet across, you know when you've had one take, you know as that carp's coming back, and he's coming back within that 2 foot area. In other words, I'm saying bring the, you know, the circle of baited area much tighter together, just like this. 8 biscuits, just toss them out close. So close is ridiculous. There. Now I can see if a carp homes in on that, and I'm sure they will. Here he comes, something's coming in those biscuits now. There's a nice compact circle in which I could drop my bait as well. All floater fishermen are going to love this bit. Watch me drag the biscuit across the surface, and here comes the mouth of the carp. Wham! Instant hookup. That is what we call totally awesome floater fishing. Another tip, guys, is all these biscuits will drift in on any leftover breeze that's coming in from the evening, and they'll push the biscuits, as I told you, right up against this grass, against any overhangs, any vegetation. The biscuit just sits there, you know, just sits there, and you can lower on a fish. Absolutely wind up close like this, just lower on the fish. You can see there, I'm about, oh, there's one, look how close these guys are coming in. I'm no more than a foot drop there to the biscuit. But the important point is the hook is not in the water, the line's not in the water. My biscuit is as close as I can get there. I can even go in a bit. If I wind closer, keep the real drag set light, and look how I can just manoeuvre that biscuit into a ridiculous place that you'd never be able to cast to. And I can even just hold it. There's fish moving everywhere here. There's the biscuit. Oh, oh my God, that made me jump. He's going around the monk. Oh, he could cut me off, he could cut me off. He's gone right round the monk. He knows there's a snag there, he knows there's a snag. He's out. That's so exciting. That had my heart pounding then. But set that drag, set the old top drag right, make sure you're not on a tight line, because you will crack off. That was exciting. And the fish are still there, not just this one. I want to get this one in, net it, and go get another one. Make sure the drag on your reel is set to give line. You do not want it locked off tight, because you never know what size of fish you can hook, even in the margins. It might not necessarily be a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 pounder, it could be a 20 pounder. There you go. Do you know what I think we should do now? Go and look for big carp or some other species. With a changeable weather going from sunshine to heavy rain, we can move from lake to lake here at Anglers Paradise. There's so many to choose from. Trust me, you can't fish them all in one day. Even from small fish you can go to big fish as per the specimen lake, and there are some specimens in there, although we didn't get to hook one today. It's a great spot. Anybody want a bit of action, there's plenty of nooks and crannies. It's well maintained, well serviced, and there are plenty of fish in there.
We've got a most enormous looking goldfish here, guys. It has to be a koi, but it is the most vivid gold I think I've ever seen. I just moved down where the guys were. I just saw this one flash of gold in the distance. I thought, you know what? It's all about moving. This film's all about moving. I'm going to move, I'm going to look. And that's worth throwing a handful of biscuits in here, because this looks a very pretty fish. We're on barbless and it could come off at any time. Koi carp, would that be?
Yeah,
Koi?
pretty little koi.
Very, very pretty. Look at that. Where can you go in England to catch something looking like it's come out of Fort Knox? One last quick look, I'm going to get this guy back, because I have the feeling something like this must be extremely valuable. What's this one, Emma?
That's another koi, I think a nice white koi.
Light coloured one.
Yeah, nice black, nice markings. Get a bit of fun on the dog biscuits. I think we'll move on now, as we do carp on the move. We're going to give it a go.
Certainly hit the species.
Give it a go on another lake, I think, yeah. And there's rumour is there's catfish in the lake, I think.
Oh, that's a nice looking.
Yeah, nice fish.
Pretty dogged these, I've noticed this.
They
They're
do,
good.
yeah,
They're good scrappers of koi. I have heard of that before. What a big one goes like. He's here.
Well, look at that for beauty. What an absolutely stunning little fish. Look at all those markings, and I think, if I'm right, the markings on the top, actually, the Japanese used to judge how expensive the carp were, how good, you know, how well the carp were, by looking at them from above, because they were on bridges and things like that, and they would judge how to price that carp from its markings on the back. So quite an interesting little fact for you there, but goes right through to the tail as well. And they're all in good quality condition, these fish.
Weird eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got a blue in it, albino type eye.
Yeah, we'll get this one back, and then we're off to another lake because we're on the move. There we go. What a awesome little fish. And off it goes.
And it doesn't just have to be floater fishing with dog biscuits. Once you find those fish fizzing, bubbling or digging around on the bottom, you can get in there, bait up a little area. In fact, the best thing to do is, if you think there's a good few fish moving, is to bait up 3 or 4 different spots, and then you can move from lake to lake or swim to swim, alternating. Just cast out there either using a float, or you can touch ledger, what we can call touch ledger. You're only using a single rod, a net, you're on the move all the time. Give it 5 minutes. If the fish doesn't take, move on. Chances are you can come back and even pick another one up, like this ghostly looking koi carp.